And up next for your viewing pleasure, we have Arcserve, where we're joined by Christophe Bertrand, Vice President of Product Marketing, and Keith Summers, Senior Product Manager.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christophe Bertrand, and VP of Product Marketing at Arcserve, and I'd like to spend the next few minutes introducing you to Arcserve and to one of our great solutions that helps recover data and systems should any problem happen to your environment. So before we get started, I wanted to just cover who Arcserve is. We're actually an independent company. We have been independent since 2014, and we've been in this business for quite a bit of time under this name. But most recently, we relaunched as an independent company and have acquired a lot of success in the market with a new solution that we call Arcserve UDP. It stands for Unified Data Protection, and as you can see, many awards. So great work from the team. We're a global company where we have a number of offices around the world. So it gives us a very good perspective on what it takes to be very good at business continuity, backup and recovery, and the type of use cases that can happen and the variety of circumstances that can affect data and systems. We offer a solution that is really three-pronged. So today we'll focus a little bit more on our cloud solution, but we do offer software that's available for you to run on your premises or in your replication environment or in your data centers around the world, or just a secondary location across town. We also offer an appliance that runs the software, and of course I mentioned our cloud solution. So this gives us a very complete portfolio that I would describe as the perfect combination of simplicity with enterprise class features. And our focus is typically organizations between let's say 250 to 2,500 employees, mid-market type of organizations, or decentralized enterprise type of organizations where you may not have a full IT team on site, or you have limited resources, and that's where we believe our simplicity combined with a feature set makes a big difference. So let's talk about the type of solutions we have when it comes to cloud disaster recovery, and in our portfolio there are really two major branches or two major options. One of them is what I call the disk to cloud with Arcserve Hybrid Cloud, and really what this is the ability for you to use our Arcserve UDP, Unified Data Protection solution, and have it run on a server or an appliance on-premise, and then you take that data. That data, by the way, is fully deduplicated. We have a global source-side deduplication capability that is very powerful, allows you to back up faster and to replicate only the changes that have happened to your data. So it's a great advantage when it comes to disaster recovery and ongoing replication. So we take that data that you have backed up on premise, and then we can take it and replicate it to a private cloud or replicate it to, say, the public cloud, whether Amazon or Azure, and there are other options as well that we offer. So this is really a very good solution if you're looking at the ability to have an on-premise recovery type of scenario, and where you may have an AWS, for example, destination that you want to leverage. The other option we offer, which we'll talk about a little more today, and you'll get a quick demo, is Arcserve Cloud Direct. And what it says here is that it's a disk-to-cloud solution. So there is no on-premise equipment. It goes straight from your servers or your virtual machines into our cloud. So it's the Arcserve Cloud, and it's really for customers who want something that's going to be, again, provide for a limited investment in terms of equipment, or even IT personnel on site, but still provide you with a very strong profile in terms of recovery time objective and recovery point objective. So we have a number of options for you there when you look at the disaster recovery piece of the equation. We also go through a number of channel partners. So if some of you are joining this call and you're a reseller potentially or work with a channel partner, we have a number of capabilities there that we offer for them to leverage the technology. So let's talk about Cloud Direct in more detail, and it's really what I would like to call this enterprise grade, but easy to use. So it comes in two services. The first service, and sort of the first building block, if you will, is the backup as a service. It provides for this automated way of protecting your data. So whatever node you decide to protect, it will automatically be protected. It's a very easy setup. You actually get to see the console. You don't need to be an expert at all to get this to work with a lot of reliability and very quickly. So it's easy to deploy, easy to manage. It's all web-based. You can literally do everything from the web-based console. You can recover from it, and you can recover data to your original site or to another location, and you can do that from anywhere. We also then offer, after that, if you will, on top of the backup as a service, as an option, the disaster recovery as a service capability. Again, it's an easy setup, and we help you, we walk you through this when you sign up, so we make sure we protect the right environment for you. We work with you on identifying the key components of your infrastructure that you should put in the disaster recovery as a service bucket. And it's really push-button recovery. This was designed to limit the amount of human intervention because there are lots of things that happen when it comes to disaster recovery, lots of things you want automated. For example, have you thought about the firewall, about the VPN? And you know, sometimes it's not just a full disaster, it's just that one server that went bad. We can literally take over that local IP and run from our cloud and offer that option to you. So lots of capabilities, and what's really cool about it, automated disaster recovery testing. This is the ultimate proof in the pudding. Can you recover? Well, we actually do that for you automatically and show those results to you. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Keith, who's going to take you a couple of feature and architectural slides, and then a demonstration. Keith?
Yep, thanks, Christophe. So just the features about the UDP Cloud Direct Backup as a Service solution. We have direct to cloud. So as was mentioned, it's direct to cloud. There's no on-prem hardware required. So you deploy a backup agent, or you deploy a virtual appliance for agentlessly protecting your virtual machines, and that data is pushed from on-prem directly into the cloud. Security and data integrity is absolutely key and paramount to us. So data is encrypted in flight as well as at rest. We do have a management-based interface, so that can be accessed using your user credentials. But if you need additional security, we do also support Google two-factor authentication. And then to protect your data on the back end within our data centers, we're also doing automated operations to make sure that we're checking the integrity of your data, to make sure that it's not changing, and to make sure that it is indeed recoverable, burning multiple copies, so that if anything happens to the initial copy, you still have another copy from which to restore. As mentioned, we have a web-based management console, so if you have access to a web browser, any of the major web browsers, and have access to the internet, you can log into our management portal, understand and see how your environment that you're protecting is doing, kick off any backups, kick off any restores from anywhere. Multiple recovery options, so you can restore from using the web browser. You can mount a recovery point as a disk from your on-prem environment. You can download a partial file. You can download an entire image. So we give you those capabilities as well. And then from an automated data protection, you can schedule your backups to occur. You can back up. You have multiple options of how you wish to protect your environment. You can back up files. You can back up folders. You can back up the entire image if you wish, or SQL or Exchange data. It's all up to you, and that can be scheduled to kick off in an automated fashion and give you the ability to log in and check how things are going. Now, also was mentioned our disaster recovery as a service solution here, meant to be push button. The RTO we wanted to keep as small as possible, and it takes about less than 5 minutes, or about the time it takes for an operating system to boot up. We do automated DR testing. This, of course, we are looking to expand, but periodically we will boot up your virtual instances of your servers that you're protecting in our cloud, take a screenshot of the login screen, so to give you that additional feeling of confidence. It does support unlimited scalability, so it is designed indeed as an enterprise solution, not a consumer-based solution. So as you need to scale, as you need more cloud storage, as you need more compute resources to protect larger and larger environments, we can scale and give you that capability. We give you that ability to do that backup, to do that failover in the cloud, and then fail back to on-prem when your disasters have been resolved. Active Directory, we give you that capability as well. We offer that. We do support physical as well as virtual environments. We know customers have a combination of both. As customers move towards a 100% virtual environment, we do know that there are customers that still have that combination of physical and virtual, and we support that. And we deliver this disaster recovery as a service solution by provisioning for you within our cloud a virtual data center that gives you all the things that you need. You let us know how much storage you need, how much compute in terms of RAM that you need to spin up in the cloud. You're provided with a virtual a VPN server, a firewall, and a network. So you have, as well as an external IP address. So this is all provisioned for you and accessible for you to recover in the event of a disaster. So with that, rather than walk you through additional slides, I'd like to jump right into a demonstration of the product. And I will make sure that my screen share is working. And hopefully at this point, you can see our login screen. As I mentioned, it's a managed portal. You can access it from anywhere. I just log in with my credentials. As I mentioned, we do support Google two-factor authentication for additional security if you need it. Here, I'm just going to log in. We have a couple of views. We have a single user view as well as a multi or managed service provider view, if you will. As you can see here, this is the managed service provider view where I have multiple customers here. I get some information about my customers, how many customers I have, how many systems I'm protecting in total, information about the data usage for those customers. If I want more detail about a particular customer, I simply select that customer. If I want to understand more about the systems that are being protected for this customer, I simply click on my systems. As was mentioned, we support agent-based protection, where we deploy a lightweight agent to the environment, as well as agentless protection of virtual machines. From an agent-based perspective, where you can access the agent, you download it, you deploy it, you configure you install it, and then you're instantly protecting your system in our environment. Once the system is protected with the backup agent, you go in, you configure your backup task. Here, I'm protecting the entire, this is a Windows system, I'm protecting the entire image. You have other options to protect how you wish to protect this system. Other backup tasks you can create. You can do files or folders, SQL or Exchange data. With Windows, we also support Linux as well as Mac. However, for Linux and Mac, we only do files and folders. So if you want to protect some files and folders on whether you have a Linux or Mac system, we're able to do that as well. You've set up your schedule. You can have it any day of the week at a specific time. You can also set up bandwidth throttles. So if you want to make sure that you control how much of your bandwidth is used for these backup operations, you have that level of flexibility and control. As I mentioned, we also do agentless protection for virtual machines. If I click on my virtualization tab, here for VMware, we support VMware as well as Hyper-V. For Hyper-V, the backup agent is sufficient. If you deploy the backup agent to a Hyper-V enabled Windows server, it will detect the virtual machines. You select which virtual machines that you want to protect, and then those virtual machines will be added to your Systems tab, and then they will be backed up to our cloud. Here with VMware, we have a virtual appliance. The virtual appliance is deployed in your vSphere environment. It communicates with your vCenter, and it discovers all of your virtual machines that vCenter can see, and then all you need to do to protect your virtual machines, you simply click Enable Backup. Once you click Enable Backup, the virtual appliance here will back those virtual machines up. And just as you do with the agent-based approach, you get to specify your schedule. for the virtual appliance, and the virtual appliance will kick off on this schedule and back up all of the virtual machines that you have specified that you want protected. Likewise, you also get the bandwidth throttling as well. And so once you've enabled backup, as I mentioned, all of those systems will appear on your Systems tab, and you will see the lightly denoted virtual machine tab. Backups can be scheduled. However, at any point in time, you can kick off a backup at your leisure or ad hoc at any time that you want. If you want to restore any of the data, you simply click on Restore. You click on the backup task. As I mentioned, you can have multiple backup tasks per system. You can protect the entire image, or you can protect and files and folders. It's up to you. So what you would do is you would click the backup task that you have. You can either select from the current, or you can go back in time to an earlier version. You can restore the entire image. Here I'm backing up, I'm protecting the entire Windows image. Or you can simply browse and navigate within the image to recover a single file or folder, however you wish to recover that environment. So you don't have to bring back the entire image if you just wanted to restore that Word file or that PowerPoint that erroneously got deleted. Here, from going back to the Systems tab, we mentioned that we also support disaster recovery. So backup as a service is more about backup and restore the data. Disaster recovery is about protecting your servers and having the ability to spin those servers up in the cloud. So what we do is when you subscribe to disaster recovery, we provision a virtual data center for you, and then you tell us how much RAM you need. And then once you have that capability, you can select any of your systems where you're protecting the entire image or any of your virtual machines that you're protecting. You come in here, you select Enable Disaster Recovery. You specify how much RAM you want this system to have, up to the amount that you've subscribed or that you're paying for as part of your subscription. You optionally specify the licenses running on there, on this system, and you click Save. Once you click Save, the indicator will go from Enable Disaster Recovery to Enabled for Disaster Recovery. And at that point, those systems will appear on your Disaster Recovery tab. Now, those systems that appear on your Disaster Recovery tab are being protected with Disaster Recovery. So as you can see how much RAM is allocated for this virtual data center that you have in your environment. As we mentioned, we do periodically boot up the system in an automated fashion. We boot it up. We take a screenshot of the login screen to kind of give you that level of confidence that it can indeed be powered on. If you want to power on any of these systems to do any testing or in the event of a disaster, all you simply have to do is click Activate. You select your recovery point. I can select the one from yesterday, and then I simply hit Activate. Now, as you can see, this begins to activate, and as I mentioned, the RTO, or the time it takes to boot up, is about the time it takes to boot up the operating system running. So this was running Windows, so it may take a couple minutes. While it's doing that, I'll walk you through other aspects of the management portal. Here you can set up port forwarding if you need to, and a very important piece of disaster recovery beyond spinning up servers in the cloud is the ability to connect to those servers and that environment that's running in the cloud. So we enable you to set up point-to-site VPN connections, as well as site-to-site VPN connections, because there is a VPN server in that virtual data center. So what you are able to do with a site-to-site, Christoph mentioned partial outages. If your entire environment doesn't go down, but maybe just one or two servers goes down, you can spin those servers up in the cloud, and through the site-to-site VPN connection, any of the on-prem servers that need to communicate will use that site-to-site VPN connectivity to communicate with those servers running in the cloud. A bit more, volumes. Volumes are logical containers where customers' data is stored in our cloud. Each of these volumes have retention policies, so you can have various retention policies. You can always create additional volumes as well. 1 year, 1 week, 1 month, however long you need to. If you want to see some historical data about your usage over time, you can see this, most current, or you can go back in time. Reporting is another key. What we do on a daily basis, which we refer to as our daily digest, we send you an email. Within that body of that email is a list of all of your systems, the status of those backups, whether they completed successfully or in progress or completed with errors or did not complete due to errors, the amount of data that was transferred and how long it took. We also can create additional backup reports. You can send them on demand, or you can create a backup report to be delivered at a particular schedule, at a particular time. You can control who those reports go to, so people who have access to the portal can receive it, as well as you can have those reports go to external users or customers. So if you're managing an environment for a customer, you don't want them logging into the portal, you can still give them information about their systems. And that report can contain all systems or maybe just a few systems that the customer is very sensitive about or want to be kept abreast of. And of course, you can always add additional users to have access to this particular customer, as well as at the managed service provider view perspective, you can also create additional users. You can also have users that only at the managed service provider level who only have access to certain customers. So now if I come back, hopefully this system is up and running. And as you can see, this system is up and running. Another option for you to connect to this system that is now running in the cloud with the prescribed amount of RAM, you can do a remote desktop connection to access the system. And another key part of disaster recovery is when you're running in the cloud, there may be changes made to the data saved, information processed by those systems running in the cloud. You want to restore some of that data back to your on-prem environment, particularly after a disaster. And so that's where we have this failback button. So failback initiates a transfer of this image from your cloud environment back to your on-prem environment. And with that, I would like to turn it back over to you, Scott.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen, for that great presentation. We do have a few questions from the audience. And the first one is, can Arcserve be used on either physical or virtual servers? I know this was talking a little bit more about SaaS offering, but what's the situation with physical and virtual machines?
Yes, we can do physical machines by deploying the agent, that's agent-based, Windows, Linux, Mac. For Linux and Mac, we can protect files and folders. For virtual machines, we do support VMware vSphere as well as Microsoft Hyper-V. And to protect those, we have a virtual appliance for VMware. It talks to vCenter, backs up all your virtual machines. And then for Hyper-V, our backup agent is sufficient. You deploy that backup agent to a Hyper-V enabled server, detects all of your virtual machines, and we back up the entire virtual machine image.
What about single item recovery from something like Exchange, a single mailbox or a single email or a single folder?
We can, our support team can help you with that, but out of the box, what we will do is we'll restore at the database level.
And if I may add to this, with the UDP on-premise solution, we have very granular capabilities. So, and one of the things we're doing is we're bringing together those capabilities across the product line. So in time, I'm sure we'll get more granular on direct to cloud.
Excellent point.
And what about overall scale? I mean, how large is Arcserve's largest customer right now? Is one of the questions we got from the audience.
Yes, so we have customers that are in the hundreds of terabytes. And so we have a few of those, several of those customers in that range. We also have customers in the tens of terabytes. But regardless of your size, we do scale. So if you're on the smaller side, we do have customers that are in the 1 to 2 terabytes that scale all the way up to, and we have those customers who are up in the hundreds of terabytes. So the platform has been designed to scale and accommodate customers of various sizes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for our summit today. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.